He will be reportedly sober with history of great entertainment.
Go away. There's a nice fellow to tell you who my guests are tonight.
When an irresistible force such as you meets an old immovable object like me, you can bet as sure as you live, something's gotta give, something's gotta give, something's gotta give.
If you're having a hard time placing this Marilyn Monroe film, that's because it was never made. I'm Henry Shipper for Fox Entertainment News, and this was our idea of how Monroe's last unfinished film, a bedroom comedy called Something's Got to Give, might have opened had it ever reached the screen. It didn't, because Monroe was fired after 8 weeks of filming, here on stage 14 at 20th Century Fox. She was sacked for what the studio described as spectacular absenteeism, and it was hinted for drifting through her scenes in a depressed and drug-induced haze. 2 months later, Monroe was found dead, an apparent suicide at the age of 36. Her death seemed to validate the studio's version of her professional slide, and it's been accepted ever since that her work on Something's Got to Give was a sad finale to an otherwise spectacular career, better left forgotten and unseen. What is little known, however, is that 20th Century Fox liked Monroe's work enough to rehire her to finish the film shortly before she died. In fact, Monroe never looked better, and as you'll soon see, her work on Something's Got to Give is on a par with the rest of her career. Funny, touching, at times superb. Monroe's performance in this film has never before been publicly shown. The negative for most of the footage was either stolen or destroyed shortly after she died, and it wasn't until 1982 that a faded print was discovered by accident in a cluttered warehouse on the 20th Century Fox lot. These 8 boxes contain nearly 6 hours of unedited scenes from Something's Got to Give. The color has deteriorated on much of the print, but Marilyn's performance has not, and it's easy to see why Fox rehired her to finish the film. The fact that she never did makes these raw fragments that much more fascinating and valuable. The footage you're about to see paints a portrait of Monroe during the final months of her life, struggling with depression and fear, but also working hard as an actress and lighting up the screen like only she could. To the very end, Marilyn Monroe had a beauty and a sexual glow that no other actress could touch, and that came across in all her films, even the one that never got made.
Maryland, Something's Got to Give is brought to you by the dentist's choice for fighting cavities, Crest with Fluorostat. Available in 3 great cavity-fighting flavors, regular, mint, and cool mint gel.
Cavity, my gosh. Are you sure? You better check the x-ray again, because I couldn't possibly have a cavity.
Fortunately, more kids brush with the toothpaste that over the years has helped prevent more cavities than any other.
This is totally amazing.
The toothpaste more dentists recommend.
All right.
Crest, to help make checkups easy.
This is an awesome checkup. What a major coup.
Crest, it's hard on cavities and easy on you.
You're my favorite dentist. Come on, Sparky. Look at this. You still look sad.
The only one with the unexpected twist of Lyman. Hopes your holiday has a little unexpected smile.
Tell toys are fun, you see. Now you can get them so easily with toy money. With Christmas near, toy money. Cut here and here. On Coca-Cola, Classic, Diet Coke, and Sprite. Toy money.
Look for
toy money coupons on specially marked packages of Coca-Cola Classic, Diet Coke, and Sprite. You'll save $1, $2, up to $7 instantly on select Mattel toys.
Toy money, toy money.
These costume and makeup tests were shot on April 10, 1962. Marilyn Monroe, the sex symbol of the 1950s, was 35 years old. She'd been puffy and overweight in her last few films, but Monroe lost 15 pounds before the start of Something's Got to Give and looked better than she had in years.
That she was like a goddess. She was so, her skin was white, it was perfect, it wasn't, you know, and she looked just absolutely beautiful.
Her body was in beautiful condition. Her figure was never better. Her face was terrific. The young, fleshy part of the face had gone, and I think it was just a maturity that she had arrived at, you know, becoming a woman.
Great, great. And she was very happy. She was really, she didn't have to perform. She just had to look great. And she did. I thought we were in. I really did.
Looking good had never been a problem for Marilyn Monroe. The trick was getting her on set and in front of the camera. Intensely insecure as an actress, emotionally, physically, at times mentally fragile, Monroe had caused enormous delays on her recent movies by avoiding scenes, arriving on the set hours, sometimes days late.
You mean about getting here on time?
Yes, I was punctual.
Oh, you were punctual. Does this mean you've turned over a new leaf?
I hope so.
You're going to be prompt from now on?
Yes.
Monroe herself told friends she was psychologically incapable of getting anywhere on time, and punctuality, it soon became obvious, was still a problem, along with more serious maladies. The morning after these exquisite tests were taken, producer Henry Weinstein found Monroe in her newly purchased Brentwood home, in a barbiturate coma.
This whole thing frightened me, of course, and I realized that she was even more unstable than I was led to believe. And I went to the studio and reported this and said, I don't think you can go on with the picture. And they said, no, it's okay, we'll go on.
If Monroe seemed on the verge of a breakdown, so did 20th Century Fox. The once proud studio was teetering toward bankruptcy, reeling from losses produced by this film. Cleopatra. 2 years in the making on location in Rome, with an out-of-control budget and another frequently absent, notoriously difficult star. Initially pegged to cost $5 million, Cleopatra, with Liz Taylor and Richard Burton making love and war on and off the set, would eventually cost an unheard-of $30 million to produce. So dire was Fox's financial condition that the studio was forced to shut down its commissary, stop watering its lawns, and pull the plug on all its productions except one.
All right, camera.
Something's Got to Give. There was only one reason Fox was determined to make the movie: Marilyn Monroe. Though her last few films hadn't done so well, Monroe's name still represented at least the possibility of box office magic, and Fox was desperate for a hit. Besides, Fox could get Monroe on the cheap. The actress owed the studio one last film on a 1956 contract, a contract that gave her the bargain basement salary of $100,000, 1/10 of what Fox paid Liz for Cleopatra. The bargain, of course, was only a bargain if Monroe showed up with reasonable frequency on the set. For the first week, she didn't show up at all, calling in sick with sinusitis and a virus that the studio wasn't sure was real or imagined. She was homesick on April 24th, the day the Shah of Iran paid a visit to the 20th Century Fox lot, mingled with the stars, and dropped in on the studio's only active production.
It's an interesting backstage tour for the handsome Shah and his beautiful Empress Farah. Topped off by a look at a rehearsal of a scene for Something's Got to Give. Sid Charisse and Steve Allen are the principals in the rehearsal.
The star the Shah really wanted to meet was Marilyn Monroe, but when producer Weinstein went to Monroe's house to pick her up, she resisted on unexpected grounds.
You gotta come. You must do this, Marilyn. No, this has nothing to do. We're not going to shoot you. There's no trap. You have to do it. She said, well, I don't know whether I can. I said, why? She said, I don't know what Iran's relationship with Israel is. I said, no, Marilyn.
Weinstein quickly placed a call to this Hollywood synagogue and put Marilyn on the phone with Rabbi Max Nussbaum, otherwise known as the Rabbi to the Stars.
And the rabbi said, no, we have very good relations with Iran, and it would be very good indeed if you showed on the set. So I was able to take it to the set, now with the rabbi's blessing, and I became a hero.
Weinstein would have been a bigger hero if he'd been able to get Monroe on the set for work. 2 weeks would pass before she clocked in on April 30th for the first time.
No.
Despite a fever of 101 and a sore throat that kept her from reading many lines, Monroe was well prepared and ready to work. She spent the day emoting silently, doing take after take of this scene, in which she plays a mother for the first and only time since becoming a star.
All right. Cut it.
Cut.
Here she sees her children after a separation of 5 years. Watch as Marilyn takes her time, feeling her way through the emotions of the scene.
I knew you were going to do that. Mauricio, go.
Something's Got to Give was intended as a remake of a 1939 romantic comedy called My Favorite Wife, starring Irene Dunne and Cary Grant. The character played by Dunne and Monroe has been lost on a tropical island for 5 years. Marilyn returns home on the day her husband, played by Dean Martin, remarries. Sid Charisse is his new bride.
Here I go.
Monroe liked the story, but what really drew her to the project was the chance to finally have kids, on screen at least, to explore the maternal feelings that had been thwarted by a history of miscarriages and abortions. Monroe's own childhood had been excruciating. Abandoned by her father, her mother confined in a mental institution, Monroe grew up in foster homes, 12 of them by the time she was 14. She played these scenes from Something's Got to Give with a vulnerability and a tenderness that seemed to draw from her own orphan-like past.
You don't remember me, do you?
No. I do. Don't pay any attention to her. She's crazy. Are you going to stay long?
I don't know yet. Would you like me to?
I don't know where you would sleep.
I don't know either yet, but if we could work that out, would you like me to stay?
I would. I wouldn't mind.
She was very happy about working with the children, yes. They were nice little youngsters, too. If one of her babies had lived, it would have been about the age of the youngest. And that, I think, emotionally was very tender to her.
Here I go.
Timmy!
She identified very heavily with the orphans of the world. She wanted to take care of children, you know, to get rid of the way she was taken care of and to take care of children the way she would want to have been taken care of. Oh, I think absolutely. Absolutely.
Timmy, let me go.
Oh, Timmy, you know, far away in the South Sea Islands, when a man hurts himself and he doesn't want people to see, you know what he does?
What?
He has somebody else cry for him.
How does that help?
You'd be surprised. Can I cry for you?
That's silly.
I'm glad.
I'm okay now.
Okay.
Well, I guess now, being 38 years old, and looking back, I think she would have made a very good mother.
Christopher Robert Morley was 7 years old in 1962. He's now a stockbroker on Wall Street.
I'm just sorry in retrospect that I pulled away when she wanted to console me. But I do remember when she knelt down to help me out of the pool that she was very, very tender and very consoling. And in the fantasy world of being on the movie set and shooting the movie, it was very, very nice to have Marilyn as my mother.
Ow! Ow! You're baby.
Alexandra Heilweil was just 4 years old when she was cast as Marilyn's daughter.
Thinking back on it now as an adult, maybe she was wistful and didn't want to get too involved with us because it was painful for her in a way, not having her own family.
Now a scientist living in Florida, Alexandra's brief encounter with Marilyn left a lasting impression.
And I think to this day, she's the model that I have of femininity, she was just beautiful, and it was her poise, really, not so much her face or her figure that made her so beautiful. The way she carried herself and the way she moved and spoke was utterly feminine.
I used to come to see your mommy, too.
She drowned.
You ever think about her?
Once a year I do. Once a year I do, too.
Only once a year?
We take flowers to church on her birthday with Daddy.
You put those flowers under that window?
Which window?
Doesn't she have a stained glass window there or something?
Oh, that one. I think so. I forgot. Daddy said we're gonna get a new mommy.
He does, really?
Bianca.
Do you like Bianca?
So many people are afraid of being vulnerable. She wasn't. She was vulnerable. You know, I would well up in tears sometimes when in fact, I must admit that I sat there and cut a sequence and I was crying because if it's honest here, I'm an honest guy. If that film is honest, I'm going to react to it, believe me.
Timmy, come here.
What?
I want to hug you.
Me too.
You two, both of you. You know what you two kids are.
What?
You're my two sweethearts. My two best sweethearts in the whole world. Hey, you little rascal.
Cut it, good. Here we go.
You can get up.
I'm a smoker, but in my office, it doesn't work. No problem. I chew Wrigley's Spearmint Gum. That cool, clean taste fits any agenda. When I can't smoke, I enjoy pure chewing satisfaction.
Sears announces our biggest pre-Christmas sale ever. 20 to 40% off winter and fall apparel for the whole family. Fantastic sweaters, great selection, great colors, all 20 to 40% off. All men's flannel shirts, all women's fall shoes and boots, and all outerwear, all 20 to 40% off. And that's 20 to 40% off Sears' already low everyday price. We've never offered savings on this much this early. So get to Sears fast.
Isn't this great?
I changed my mind.
Changed your mind?
Diet Sprite with the great taste of lemon.
She's changed her mind about me. Oh, you changed your mind about your hair.
Clear Light Diet Sprite when you want to change.
I like it. It's different, but I like it.
I smoke, but on this flight, cigarettes are grounded. My answer? Wrigley's Spearmint Gum. That cool, clean taste never lets me down. When I can't smoke, I enjoy pure chewing satisfaction.
Great-looking leather jackets cost a lot?
No, we got them at Burlington Coat Factory.
Those raincoats, those designer coats, that fur, expensive?
No, we got them at Burlington.
Those are terrific jackets. Let me guess.
Right, saved on them all at Burlington.
So you saved on all these coats and jackets at Burlington Coat Factory?
Burlington has more of these at the lowest prices than anybody.
That's why they call it Burlington Coat Factory.
It's America's #1 place to save on coats.
What on earth have they been feeding you, silly old thing? Speak.
Great. That's the first print. Good.
The encouraging voice you hear in the background belongs to George Cukor, one of just 12 directors that Marilyn Monroe told 20th Century Fox she would work with when she signed her contract with the studio in 1955. She liked Cukor, in part because he was patient and gentle with his stars. Marilyn, who went through agonies of anxiety before shooting a scene, needed all the support and friendly feedback she could get.
She was just fearful of the camera.
So fearful, in fact, that Monroe would throw up on the morning she was scheduled to shoot and linger in her dressing room as long as possible, avoiding a scene.
The lipstick would come on and the lipstick would go on. I'd get her at 6 o'clock and she wouldn't be able to get to the set before 11.
After each day's work, Monroe sought reassurance from editor David Bretherton, the first man to sift through the dailies and see how she looked on the screen.
So she'd have me look right in her eyes and say, "Was I all right?" And I said, "God, you were marvelous." You wouldn't just say that. And I said, "No, you know me well enough to know that I wouldn't just say that." I said, "No, it was absolutely beautiful." And I really meant it.
Cukor, well aware of Monroe's fragile confidence, was extremely supportive.
Nice, that was lovely. Good.
When he could get her on the set. On May 1st, Monroe arrived at 7 a.m., only to leave at 7:30. Another morning, she nearly fainted under a hairdryer and had to go home. She had sinusitis. She had a virus. She lost her voice. She was suffering from exhaustion. Insomnia had become a nightly ordeal. Cukor did the best he could to keep the production rolling.
And then she gets, before you say your first line.
He shot around Monroe's scenes, keeping Dean Martin, Sid Charisse, and the rest of the cast busy. Martin was called upon to do his end of Marilyn's famous nude swimming pool scene by himself, throwing a robe down to an empty pool as a flat-voiced stand-in read Monroe's lines.
When you're all finished, come on in. It's very refreshing.
By May 10th, she had missed 16 of the first 17 shooting days. A studio doctor confirmed her virus and ordered her to stay in bed, but studio nerves were beginning to fray. Cukor had shot everything he could without Monroe and was forced to shut down the set.
That was a daily worry of everybody. You come on the set, sort of joke in the morning with your coffee and donuts. I would ask, is she here? Even before we started, the big question was whether Marilyn Monroe would show, whether she was really up to and willing and wanting to participate in making a movie.
The amount of time that was spent on trying to get her on the set was something that was almost unbelievable. I mean, the patience that the crew and especially the director, and I'm sure that the head office had, were extreme, and they went through hell trying to get it on film.
And I would call 3 doctors every day. One was her nose man and eye man because she had sinusitis, and she was afraid of all of that, and I told you. And then she had an internist, and then, of course, her analyst. I mean, she had enormous problems that came with the territory. And the studio was naive to think that this wouldn't happen. I mean, if the picture was budgeted for an 8-week shoot, they should have budgeted for a 16-week shoot. Because they wanted a film with Marilyn Monroe. But there are certain people, you create films, you don't manufacture films. I mean, you're not putting Elvis Presley in front of the camera and shooting it in 6 weeks. You have a very, very different persona. And I think that was the miscalculation, and I think it became aggravated because of what was happening with Cleopatra. I'm convinced of it.
Jeff, come on.
Monroe finally reappeared on the set on May 14th. When she returned on the 15th and 16th, filming at last seemed to be on track, although progress was painstakingly slow.
My goodness.
Jeff.
This welcome home scene between Marilyn and the family dog, a 15-second sequence, took a full day to shoot. This time, however, the delays weren't Marilyn's fault. and she seemed to enjoy doing take after patient take as the dog kept blowing his cue.
Come on, Jeff. Jeff, speak. Jeff, speak. Jeff, speak. Come on, Jeff. Speak. Come on, here, boy. Come on, speak. Watch it. Speak. Speak. Come on, Jeff. Come on, put your feet up. Speak.
I used to come here a long time ago. He remembers me. It's Hippie.
Jeff, come on. Get over here. Come on, Jeff. Good, Jeff. Come on,
The dog was sensational in rehearsals. I've never seen such a good dog in rehearsals.
That's the one. That's the baby. Isn't that sweet? She got a kick out of it. Somebody was, everybody's saying she was difficult. Now, here was something that was more difficult than she was, in effect, And because you can't scold a dog into doing the right thing,
Jeff, come here, Jeff. Jeff, come here. Get over here.
Yeah, he's getting good.
Just as things began to stabilize on the Something's Got to Give set, a new crisis loomed. On Thursday, May 17th, 4 days after Monroe had returned to work, a helicopter carrying Peter Lawford landed on the Fox lot and whisked Marilyn away just before the noon break. That afternoon, she flew to New York to perform at a lavish birthday party in Madison Square Garden for President John F. Kennedy. Monroe had been asked to sing Happy Birthday to the President.
Mr. President, the late Marilyn Monroe.
Fox executives were beside themselves. Studio chief Peter Levathes had personally ordered Monroe not to go. Cukor pleaded with her and again shut down the set the minute she left. But for Monroe, already said to be having an affair with JFK, the invitation was irresistible.
I mean, my God, here's a girl who really came from the streets, who had a mother who was not all there, a father who had disappeared, who was deeply disturbed, was now going to Madison Square Garden in a dress that she had to be sewn into, literally sewn into, to sing Happy Birthday to the President, and to that president.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Happy birthday to you.
Everybody, happy birthday!
Cukor was angry. The studio was angry. There was a feeling of resentment, that everybody had been patient enough and trying as hard as they could for Marilyn, and then to do this.
My memory, I remember being with Cukor at the time, was that we were both astonished that she had gone and angry. Cukor particularly was angry. He was starting to feel, I think, a kind of helplessness in the situation, that regardless of what he did, regardless of what the studio said or something, she was going to get her way.
When Levathes fired Monroe 3 weeks later, he used this trip to New York to justify the action. But studio records, including this daily log sheet for Something's Got to Give, suggest that Monroe had permission to make the trip, and that Fox changed its mind when filming fell behind schedule.
Oh, no, we knew a couple of weeks in advance. No, we knew. Well, I didn't see written permission, but we all knew she was going. She did have permission. Everybody knew she was leaving, and they were going to shoot around her.
They were very upset, and so was I, and that was stupid. And had I been more experienced, I said, Marilyn, I'll go with you. We'll get more publicity for the picture, which would be the natural thing to do. I should walk with a sign saying, something's got to give, instead of worrying about whether she's gone or what the studio thinks. And I mean, immediately the studio should have been alerted. We should have had our own cameramen there. With her and the president, she's running back. I mean, that's what you would do, instead of, how could she go?
King has a great gift idea for the holidays that'll go a long distance. No, not another necktie for Dad. Or a necklace for Mom. Get up to 15 minutes of free crystal clear communication from U.S. Sprint when you buy a $5 book of Burger King gift certificates. Give the certificates to friends for great tasting Burger King food and use the free long distance to call anyone you like. So get fiber optic communication and ring in the holidays with Burger King. For great gift ideas, at Burger King, sometimes you've got to break the rules.
Today, when it comes to looking beautiful, give your skin a clean advantage. CoverGirl Clean Makeup. It always goes on Noxzema Clean for a natural, unspoiled kind of beauty, whatever the style. Today, clean is the look. Because it doesn't look like makeup. It looks like great skin. CoverGirl, redefining beautiful.
They're at your Christmas store. Sears, this 10-cup Mr. Coffee coffee maker, 10-speed Hamilton Beach blender, and Sunbeam automatic shut-off iron, now only $19.99 each. Hurry, sale ends Saturday at Sears for Christmas.
A lot of women play tug-of-war with their pantyhose. Now there's Legs Classics, a more fitting solution.
She's got legs.
Classics.
Good evening. This is Fox News Extra. The last U.S. hostages are out of Iraq and on their way home. A jetliner carrying 30 Americans, including the U.S. ambassador to Kuwait, has landed in Germany. The Republican Party is looking for a new chairman. William Bennett says financial commitments will keep him from assuming the post. And a judge in Michigan says a doctor who helped a woman kill herself did not commit murder. I'm Lynn Brown in New York. Marilyn, Something's Got to Give, follows these messages.
Christmas brings a special kind of cheer. A time for toys, girls and boys, a magic time of year.
Walmart always has the low price on a terrific selection of great holiday gift items. Like this easy-to-use Presto salad shooter that slices or shreds, only $24.94. From our family to yours, the season's best.
Do you have a favorite snapshot that best captures the joy and warmth of the holiday season? Bring your perfect picture to any Jackrabbit photo and you could win a 24-karat gold card plus $30 worth of photo accessories. 4 semifinalists will compete for the grand prize, a Carnival cruise for 2. Entries are not judged on professionalism, so even a beginner can win. The winner will be announced Christmas Eve during the Fox 21 movie, A Christmas Story. It's the Picture Perfect Holiday Contest. From Jackrabbit Photo, picture perfect for Christmas.
Marilyn Monroe returned from President Kennedy's birthday bash in Madison Square Garden on Monday, May 21st. As Q-Corps feared, the trip had exhausted her, so much so that she couldn't shoot close-ups and spent the day doing retakes of this scene with the kids.
I got sand in my foot.
All right, let's get it out.
Now that's good. I'd like to do one more.
Things worsened the next day when Dean Martin turned up with a cold. Monroe, still trying to shake her virus, refused to work with him, despite assurances from studio doctors that he wasn't contagious. Q-Corps could do little but spin his wheels. The day was spent reshooting earlier scenes. As tensions heightened on the set, Monroe's insecurity and paranoia likewise rose. She had a blonde extra removed, simply because she was blonde, and she called Weinstein one night with a bizarre complaint. Sid Charisse, Monroe said, was patting her breasts.
Man, how do you know I haven't seen you on the set in days? And I said, furthermore, we're shooting her in a negligee. How do you pad the breast? She said, you're naive. You do it from underneath the breast with tape. I said, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I said, but if you think that I'm going to tell Monsieur Charisse that her breasts are too big, you're mistaken. She said, okay, then I'm going to pad mine. I said, those lovely breasts you're not going to pad. It would be criminal. She said, no, I'm going to pad them, and you're going to have to redo all my costumes.
Fortunately for Weinstein, the next scene Marilyn shot required no costume. The nude pool scene, perhaps the most famous sequence ever shot for a movie that was never made. According to the script, this midnight skinny dip was Marilyn's way of encouraging Dean Martin to break the news to his new wife, Sid Charisse, that his first wife had come home.
I don't feel so good.
Get out of there. Oh, Stephen, back in.
Come on in. The water's so refreshing. You know, after you've done you know what?
Monroe began the scene wearing a flesh-colored bikini, but when a cameraman complained that the line of her bra was visible, she slipped out of the suit and did the scene au naturel. The effect on stage 14, indeed the entire Fox lot, was electric.
Incredible. I mean, the word got around that Marilyn was swimming nude. And we kind of closed the door. I mean, we would have had half the studio there.
That was a highlight of the film that wasn't made. Marilyn would be love to do that, and I think it showed. If I remember the rushes at the time, there was no pressure. I mean, that's something she could do: take her clothes off, go in a pool, and come out. There isn't all of that mental strain of playing a scene with someone.
I had the robe, and when she finally came up, like, put her arm out of the pool and put her arm over her boob to hide it. And she made me get right by the camera all the time like he is right now, and if I could see anything I shouldn't see, say so. And she wouldn't let him print the scene.
Monroe knew that her skinny dip, the first true nude scene by a major star, was likely to cause a media sensation, which is apparently just what she had in mind. When photographers who shot these stills asked her to release them, Monroe casually consented in exchange for one promise, that they knock Liz Taylor off the magazine covers of the world. That they did. Within weeks, the photos appeared in 32 countries, a kind of last hurrah for Hollywood's greatest cover girl.
It made her feel great. It was her happiest day. She felt secure that day. Why? That day as opposed to another day, I don't know.
Get back!
I really thought the worst was over.
Briefly, it seemed like it was. Although her 4 hours in the pool had aggravated her virus, Marilyn continued to work and work well. On the 26th of May, she shot this scene, a Garbo-like turn in which she pretends to be Martin's Swedish maid.
I see. Tick. A Swedish name. Mrs. Duncan, give me position to take care of children.
Nice to meet you, Mrs. Tick. Nicholas, shall we go in now? Would you mind taking these in for me, please?
Oh, I'll take it.
Yes, no trouble. We have been waiting for you to come home. Honeymoon is over, yeah?
It's just begun.
A few days later, Monroe and Martin worked together again, their first solo scene since filming began.
A man's wife spends 5 years on an island with a strange man.
Would you like it better if I knew him?
And it slips her mind?
Well, I was going to tell you, but I know how upset you get about little things.
Little things?
Monroe had tangled bitterly with previous co-stars like Tony Curtis and Laurence Olivier, and she handpicked Dean Martin as her leading man, in large part because they were friends, and she knew she could count on him as an ally. True to his easygoing double martini image, Martin seemed utterly unfazed by Monroe's absences and delays.
All right. Camera.
Dean was wonderful.
Dean loved her.
He was just very patient and understanding. And when he was waiting, he'd be in the back swinging his golf
Yeah,
balls,
you know,
had a
he's
club with him, and
easygoing
he'd
guy.
go behind the set and just
Swing it away.
put some shots.
Dean Martin never said a word. He sat in his dressing room, and I mean, he knew I was young and worried and inexperienced. He would come and comfort me instead of me come and comfort him.
Weinstein once again was in need of comfort. On the 27th of May, Marilyn phoned in sick, and again on the 28th. She reported to the set on June 1st, her 36th birthday, but the mood was grim. Cukor, desperate to make some headway, was furious over plans to throw a birthday party on the set and refused to let Marilyn go until the end of the day. Ironically, the tense afternoon produced one of the film's funnier scenes, a vintage Monroe tease in which she tries to pass Wally Cox off as the man with whom she spent 5 years on a deserted island.
Thank you. I really don't have very much time. I'm making a report to the Geographic Society on the flora and fauna we found on the island.
This, as it turned out, would be the last scene of Marilyn Monroe's career.
Ask anything. Go ahead, ask.
Well, let me see. What kind of an island was it?
I'd say it was an ordinary island, wouldn't you say?
Like the rest.
Small island?
Not small. Not large.
Medium.
Water?
Oh, yes, water all around.
That's one of the nicest things about Adam. He doesn't talk your ear off.
Well...
Is there anything else you'd like to ask?
No, I don't think so. I've got a good, clear picture now.
When should I be running along?
Must you?
Oh, the Geographic Society insists on punctuality.
Fine, thank you.
All day long, birthday flowers and bottles of champagne arrived for Marilyn. The studio had prepared nothing to mark Monroe's birthday, but Marilyn's stand-in, Evelyn Moriarty, bought a cake decorated with a bikini and a negligee and had a giant birthday card signed by everyone on the set.
I went over to the farmer's market and picked up the cake, and I brought it back to the studio, and I was told by the assistant director not to bring that cake out until 6 o'clock because they were going to get a full day's work out of her. So we left the cake in the prop room, and 6 o'clock we wheeled out the cake with all the sparklers on it.
Somehow or another, I ended up with one of the little dolls that was on the top of the cake. They had sparklers and these little dolls, and there was a little bikini-clad Marilyn was on the cake. And normally these things get thrown away, but my wife has a little doll collection. It's been sitting there for years this way. The rather revealing wardrobe, I must say.
Cukor joined the other cast and crew members in a ragged version of Happy Birthday, but it was not a warm serenade.
There was a pall over it. We had gone through so much. It was a pretend celebration.
She felt that, it was a very sad birthday, that because of all the troubles with the picture that were happening and all that. And she always looks at that photograph where I guess it's on the set, and she says, I may be smiling, but my eyes are dead, because she wasn't smiling on the inside. It wasn't working. They would probably thrown it at her if they would have been honest.
Wearing a mink beret borrowed from the Fox costume department, Monroe left the Strain gathering with Wally Cox. Over objections from the studio, she went to an Angel game to throw out the opening ball at a muscular dystrophy benefit. It would be her last public appearance before she died.
Sears announces our biggest pre-Christmas sale ever. 20 to 40% off men's, women's, and children's apparel. All outerwear, all sweaters, all men's flannel shirts, all 20 to 40% off. So save for the whole family. Get to Sears fast.
Within the black, there is a power. Draco Noir, the men's fragrance by Guy Laroche Paris. Feel the power.
You sound miserable, honey.
Oh, I'm gonna make some impression during my interview tomorrow.
This'll help.
Oh, NyQuil. This isn't my NyQuil. This This is a blue box that says nighttime. Only NyQuil is NyQuil. How do I know I won't be up all night coughing and sneezing? How do I know I'll be okay for my interview, honey?
She needs NyQuil, the real nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head fever so you can rest medicine. It's relief she can trust.
Why do some women leave for work looking like they just stepped out of a salon?
Salon Selective. Salon Shine. Salon Selective.
From Helene Curtis, Salon Selective's 5 shampoos, 5 conditioners. Select the personalized combination you need for salon beautiful hair.
Still busy.
If you had Southern Bell's repeat dialing, you could tell your phone to continue dialing a busy number for you. And when the busy line is open, your phone would let you know with a special ring. So call now to get repeat dialing and save the $10 service connection charge. Then touch a few buttons, and a busy signal won't keep you busy, just your phone.
Hey, finally got him.
On June 4th, the Monday after her 36th birthday, Marilyn Monroe once again failed to show up on the Something's Got to Give set. A new and final round of absences had begun. Monroe called in sick again on Tuesday, and on Wednesday, and on Thursday. According to studio doctor Lee Siegel, her sinuses had flared, and her temperature was 102. There was no telling when she would be able to return to work.
I didn't believe him for a minute. I don't think Cukor did. I don't think anybody in the crew did.
She wasn't out partying. She wasn't out doing anything. She was just being miserable.
Yes, this is a sick woman, and also feeling this is also a movie star. This is a movie star who is getting her way. What she is doing, she's doing because she's a movie star, and doesn't give a damn about anybody else, and is being destructive and self-destructive.
A crisis point in the filming of Something's Got to Give had been reached. The production was now 16 days behind schedule and $1 million over budget. Not a huge deficit, but a traumatic one given the spectacular drain of Cleopatra, still filming in Europe and still Fox's only other big movie. Studio chief Peter Levathes, in Rome trying to stem the hemorrhage of Cleopatra, was furious when told of Monroe's latest absences. "We've let the inmates run the asylum," he railed, "and they've practically destroyed it." Levathes ordered his staff to line up a possible replacement for Monroe. The panicky studio began calling every actress in town, according to one report. Rumors were flying that Monroe was about to get the axe. But what exactly was the matter with Marilyn Monroe?
What happened that weekend, I don't know. To me, that's more interesting than what happened the day that Marilyn died. That was the turning point.
I think she was just depressed. I mean, it wasn't like she didn't want to do it. She wanted to get the film done. She didn't want to be fired. She was just in a terrible place by this time.
There was something desperate and mysterious about Monroe's actions. On June 5th, she reportedly tried to discuss Something's Got to Give with Levathes' boss, 20th Century Fox president Spiros Skouros, even though he was recovering from surgery in the intensive care unit of a New York hospital. On June 7th, Monroe visited a plastic surgeon. She had been taking too much medication, she said, had fallen in the shower and bruised her face. That same day, emergency calls were placed to Monroe's psychiatrist, Dr. Ralph Greenson, who was vacationing in Switzerland. Greenson flew back to Los Angeles that night and gave the studio a guarantee that Monroe would be on the set and able to finish the film by Monday.
May I start again?
But it was too late. When she failed to appear on Friday, June 8th, Levathes fired Marilyn Monroe. Punctuating the action with an exclamation point, he ordered his lawyers to file a $500,000 breach of contract suit against the actress that same day. "We can't afford to have her and Cleopatra too," a studio official explained. Monroe was stunned.
She was terribly upset that she couldn't believe that the studio had fired her. That was very difficult to accept.
I mean, it was like she was gold-bricking, and that she was doing this as a willful child. And I mean, I think she felt really degraded by it.
Even with your own children, there comes a time when you have to make decisions that something can't continue.
Something's got to happen. Something's got to give is what it was. Something's got to give, and the studio said, I've taken all I can, and I think they justifiably did.
The day Monroe was fired, producer Weinstein lashed out at her in the press for, quote, completely flouting professional discipline and putting 104 people out of work. He has since revised that view.
The real reason Marilyn was fired was that you had Cleopatra way behind schedule and costing millions. The studio sold the backlight to help finance it. You now have this small little picture on about a half a dozen sets and 20 people maybe, and that's behind. And it looks like Skouras and his appointed head Levathi are losing control over their talent. I mean, this is only, we look at Marilyn Monroe, but I've tried to point out this is a small pawn in the whole studio thing. It's an interesting pawn. It's very sad, it's tragic, it's funny, but it's a pawn to the whole, really what happens. And that's the real Hollywood story.
But the soap opera surrounding Something's Got to Give was far from over. On June 9th, Fox announced that it had replaced Monroe with Lee Remick, who came to the Fox lot for costume tests the next day. Remick defended the studio for dropping Monroe. I feel she should have been replaced, she told reporters. The movie business is crumbling down around our ears because of that kind of behavior. In its haste to act decisively, however, Fox overlooked an important detail. Dean Martin's contract gave him right of approval over his co-star, and Martin immediately rejected Lee Remick.
Dean said, he sat right here in the dressing room, in the front of the dressing room up there when we found out she was gone. And somebody from the studio came over there and said, well, we're going to go ahead and do it with Lee Remick.
What?
He said, no, we're not going to do it with Lee Remick. And that was it. And that's when I heard him say that about Marilyn and walked off.
She felt really proud that he would stand by her, and that really pleased her. And I remember, I think she came and you know, showed me the headline. No Monroe, no Martin, or something like that it was, and she was really tickled by that.
20th Century Fox soon came to regret firing Marilyn Monroe. With Dean Martin rejecting Lee Remick as a replacement, the studio had, in effect, unwittingly killed its own production and tossed $2 million down the drain. Hard as it must have been to swallow, there was only one way to salvage Something's Got to Give. Just weeks after dropping her from the picture, suing her for breach of contract, and denouncing her in the press, Fox quietly rehired Marilyn Monroe. The studio agreed to pay her more than twice her original salary to finish the film.
We were with her Thursday before the Saturday that she passed away, and she was as happy as we've ever seen her. Anticipation of going to work, healthy, good shape physically at that point.
I heard that we were going to do the picture, okay? And we're going to go back to the picture. I called the Wednesday before she died, and I talked to her. Oh, the conversation was we were going to go back. We're going to go back and work. She was real up.
Monroe, of course, never did return to work. On August 4th, just a month before filming of Something's Got to Give was to resume, she made headlines for the last time. Monroe's death made it obvious that her struggles during Something's Got to Give were all too real, and her firing, in retrospect, seems harsh and unfair. Without a doubt, she was a problematic star, struggling with sickness and at times crippling fears, an actress whose appeal came from the same mix of beauty and pain that made it so hard for her to work and ultimately to live. But Monroe was also a scapegoat for Hollywood's dying studio system, a system accustomed to assembly line creativity and absolute control over its talent. Monroe was not an assembly line star, and her struggles were something the studio bosses could neither tolerate nor understand. Monroe herself wrote what may well be the best epitaph to both her life and her work on Something's Got to Give, an odd, poignant telegram sent to Robert Kennedy just days after she was fired, turning down an invitation to visit the Kennedy clan. Unfortunately, I'm involved in a freedom ride protesting the loss of minority rights for the few remaining earthbound stars. All we demanded, Marilyn wrote, was our right to twinkle.
Okay, Sal. I want onions and you don't. But we can solve this. We'll arm wrestle for it.
Okay, Daddy.
Yes! Onions it is! Onions, onions,
Daddy.
onions it is! Onions it is! Onions it is! Onions it is!
Little Caesar's new Family Choice gives you one medium pizza with 8 toppings for the adults and one with 2 toppings for the kids, all for $8.99.
Pizza, pizza.
Diet soda. It changed the world of soft drinks. Pantyhose changed the way we dressed. Now new Oil of Olay foaming face wash will change the way you wash your face forever. Get soap clean without soap, without drying. 100% soap-free. It even removes eye makeup. Oil-free, it rinses clean to leave skin refreshed, yet soft.
Even a bit younger looking.
New Oil of Olay foaming face wash. Changing the way you wash your face forever.
You've heard all about cold relief. Now you're going to hear about hot relief. New Tylenol Cold and Flu. With more medicine than any other hot liquid flu formula. Heat releases the power of this lemony medicine with 3 cold and flu fighters for your coughing, sneezing, and congestion. Plus Tylenol pain reliever for your fever, sore throat, aches, and pains. New Tylenol Cold and Flu. Part of Tylenol's complete cold relief line. Nobody cares for your cold like Tylenol Cold.
Sears announces our biggest pre-Christmas sale ever. 20 to 40% off winter and fall apparel for the whole family. Fantastic sweaters, great selection, great colors, all 20 to 40% off. All men's flannel shirts, all women's fall shoes and boots, and all outerwear, all 20 to 40% off. And that's 20 to 40% off Sears' already low everyday price. We've never offered savings on this much this early. So get to Sears fast.
Tomorrow, a sniper is shooting down blondes, and it's up to Hunter to stop him. Next on Fox 21.
Continue to evade the law and get the clues that could help finally bring them to justice. See America's Most Wanted's toughest cases, followed by the series the Associated Press calls the best new show on television, Against the Law, tomorrow night.
Aren't you ashamed of those suspicions you had about me?
That is good. Thank you.
Did I stay?
Beautiful. Should I be running long?
Oh, must you?
The Geographic Society is nuts on punctuality.